Greetings and welcome back to News Humor, where if the news doesn't make you laugh, it'll make you cry. Happy Memorial Day, everyone, and I'm glad that you're joining us here for this Memorial Day, where it's a day to memorialize and remember veterans and the people who have sacrificed all that they could have so we could have the freedom we enjoy. And on that note, I have a lineup today of some people who have sacrificed very much in order to secure our freedom. And Nick, my apologies, brother. I can't pronounce your last name, but I love your message and I stand with you. Just give me a call. I know how North Carolina can be. If you wish for any assistance from me. Nick is a gym owner in North Carolina. I forgot what town, it's Holly something. And I got a couple of videos lined up. Let's check out what he has to say, because I think it's pretty interesting.
While that's going on, I'm at my house talking to the chief. The chief, in a way apologizes for the actions of his officer and says, that he believes in the Constitution and that we were going to be put on a 3-strike rule.
The guy the contractor was also a Marine. He just wants to know what to do. You don't have to, there's a level of escalation that doesn't need to take place.
When we sent out the email to the members, one of those members forwarded that email to the town manager, and that became our first warning. So now we have Americans telling on Americans. May 18th comes, and we're doing some private law enforcement and military training in our facility, and Captain Richards knocks on the door. I cracked the door, and I said, "How can I help you?" He says, "I know the chief said that you can be open, but you can't due to the governor's orders, and you need to close down now." I said, "I'll call the chief." Politely. And then he left, and that was that. I attempted to call the chief that morning, but his phone had been disconnected. Come to find out that the chief had been temporarily relieved of duty, which we kind of know what that means. I don't know why he was relieved, but I can speculate that I know why, because he was following the Constitution and didn't believe in what the governor had said. And so I guess they removed him from the picture. So now this person who had been harassing members is now the acting chief. So Captain Richards is now the acting chief of Holly Ridge, temporarily. At approximately 3 p.m., Captain Richards came back with a detective and the town manager and gained access to my business through a key card that they had from 2010 that had not been deactivated. I don't know why they had this key card. I don't know if it was for safety from back in 2010 or if they had a membership. We don't know. These individuals came into our facility with no warrant, with no permission whatsoever. They illegally trespassed and then started to harass our members again, saying that if they did not leave the facility, they would be cited. They had 5 minutes to get out or they would get cited. I found out about this. I came to the gym, and then I asked Captain Richards what statute, under what law, that he was going to cite citizens of this town. He said, because it's the law. And I asked him what law, and he rolled his window up at me. There's no law, and I've consulted a lawyer. There's no law, there's no statute that you can cite a citizen for this. Meanwhile, he has his officers taking photographs of everyone's license plate and everyone's face in the gym so that he can give them a ticket, so that he can threaten them. He's intimidating people. He's threatening people.
So, for those of you who don't know, Nick had his gym raided by the local police department. And they shut everything down, ticketed some people, sent everybody home. The police chief comes up later and says, it was all a misunderstanding. He took the citations back. And right there, what he was talking about, Americans. ratting on other Americans. Sounds a lot like Nazi Germany to me. But I don't know. Who am I to judge? I just report the news. I'm not here to interpret it for you. Okay, Nick. I know you're kind of new to this game, and you've already said from some of your videos that you don't really like the whole politics and political arena. But I hate to inform you that North Carolina doesn't even follow their own law. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to link right here Lawless Judicial Officers from another YouTube channel I have, where back in 2018, a man named Henry Ramo and I got arrested for Henry standing up in court and telling the court that this woman who said she was representing him was not his attorney. And for that, we got arrested. The judicial officer, the sheriff, everybody involved broke all sorts of North Carolina statutes. And they broke the law, the common law of this land. You know, do no wrong to your fellow man. Do no wrong to your fellow woman. Do no wrong. And they broke that law. And we, being private people, went to go swear out warrants. And they wouldn't uphold the law. They don't care. We sent it to the highest officers of the state. They don't care. So, I just wish for you to keep this in mind. But, let's continue, because I think that what's happening to you is wrong. I'm in this fight with you, brother. I'm in this fight with you. I care about what you're talking about. And I am so glad that you are out there and you are pushing this fight forward. You are moving it forward, because if it does not stop here, it's going to stop at gunfights, at people shooting at one another. And I don't think we wish to see that. I don't think we wish to see that, anybody in our society. Let's see what else you got to say, Nick. I like you.
All I wanted was to serve my time in the military and enjoy the freedoms that I fought for. Be able to run my business, be able to enjoy time with my friends and family, enjoy the liberties that I fought for. And I can't do that. They're taking business owners and tax-paying, law-abiding citizens of our country and of our state and of our towns and turning them into criminals. We have to look at this from a broad picture. The entire time that we've been shut down in North Carolina, our ABC stores have been open, our tobacco shops have been open, big box stores have been open. There can be 200 people in Lowe's. You got to look at where the state income tax comes from and state sales tax. None of the places that are big revenue generators for the state have been shut down, just small businesses. So it appears that they're doing the state justice by flattening the curve and we're limiting this and limiting that. But really, the state is protecting its revenue, but not its business owners. Right before I made this video, I got a call from the tax collector's office in Onslow County, wanting to know when I'm going to pay my property tax for 2020. And I said, is this serious? Like, you shut my businesses down and you expect you're collecting property tax. And she said, well, that's something you need to take out with the legislate. I'm just here to take your money.
It's all about revenue. It always has been. Everything's a business. Of course, they're going to protect their revenue. They're going to protect their revenue, and they're going to protect their power. And I think it's very interesting. Yeah, you got a call to get property taxes collected. And they said to take it up with the state legislature. And this is one of the problems with our government right here, is that most people don't understand how our government works. Our Constitution is absolutely beautiful. It separates our government into 3 distinct powers: an executive branch, a judicial branch, and a legislative branch. Okay? Now, in order for the people to always know and be secure in the fact that their government hasn't become tyrannical, it allows the people themselves to sit in on one of these branches and to judge other people in society, and that is a jury. Okay, but most people don't care about being in a jury because it takes up their time. It takes up their day. They don't want to do it. They would rather do something else. Yeah, I would rather do something else too, but I wish to have rights. But what they told you down at the tax office, look, that's under the executive branch because they're there to execute the law. They're not there to write the law. Of course, go talk to the legislature. They're going to send you in circles all day long. This is how the system's set up. Because nobody wishes to take blame. But let me tell you something. Because our government is set up into 3 branches, and because it's so beautiful, those 3 branches have to work coherently together. Okay? So if the government is working really well, it's because those 3 branches are doing their job correctly. Now, when the government is working really, really bad, it's because those 3 branches are doing their job incorrectly. But they all have to work in concert with one another. Because if they don't work in concert with one another, then it's not that it works poorly or it works great. It's that it doesn't work at all. If the 3 branches of government don't work together, it doesn't work. So when government is working badly, it's because all 3 branches have gotten together and decided to work badly. And this is something that we'll go in more with North Carolina in later videos. But I really feel for you, brother. I really do. Let's continue the story because I really enjoy this guy. And I think everybody should like, share, and subscribe.
This isn't by no representation of all law enforcement officers. You have good law enforcement officers out there that unfortunately are getting fired, like Greg Anderson, and then many more that they also took an oath to defend the Constitution and defend people's rights, your and I rights. This is I believe, a very small, isolated incident. We see them happening in Jersey. We see them happening in other places. But at the end of the day, this is me by no means saying that all law enforcement officers are bad. But you know how it is. Even in the Marine Corps, we had a bad 10%. In law enforcement, you always have a bad 10%.
Okay, and this is the part where I somewhat have a problem with. We got to look at the facts. He's sitting here saying you have good law enforcement officers out there like Greg Anderson who got fired. The police chief he's talking about gets removed because he believes in the Constitution. There's a trend I see forming, and that is anybody who believes in the Constitution, anybody who believes that the government is kind of becoming tyrannical, anybody who's not just willing to accept someone's opinion of what law is and how they should enforce it upon you tyrannically, anybody who doesn't go along with that method is being weeded out of law enforcement. Okay? So maybe there are some good people in there. And I truly and wholeheartedly believe that there are. But they can't do anything unless we, the public, back them up on this. They can't do anything unless we help them out. And we got to get on our feet. We got to start moving. We got to do something quickly. Because the other side is moving very fast. They are moving very tyrannical. And I appreciate you, Nick. And I appreciate everything you've done and fought for this country. I've never served in the military. I've never sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States or of the state that I live in. But Nick, I stand with you. I swear an oath right here that I will be there and stand with you and fight for your rights, your freedoms, your children, your ability to run your business, because that's what I believe in. I don't believe in any man and any government above me. I believe that we together constitute this government and that we have the right to tell them what to do. And I respect you immensely for what you're doing, Nick. And I expect you immensely for what you're doing, Greg Anderson. You got a lot of respect for me. And speaking of Greg Anderson, let's hear what he has to say real quick, because I really like this man.
I've seen officers nationwide enforcing tyrannical orders against the people, and I'm hoping it's the minority of officers, but I'm not sure anymore, because every time I turn on the television, every time I look to the internet, I'm seeing people arrested or cited for going to church, for traveling on the roadways, for going surfing, opening their businesses, going to the park with their families, or doing nails out of their own house, using their own house as a place of business, and having undercover agents go there and arrest them and charge them with what? With a crime? I don't know what crime people are committing by doing nails in their own house, but we're seeing this more and more and more, and we need to start looking at ourselves as officers and thinking, is what I'm doing right? Now, I want to remind you that regardless of where you stand on the coronavirus, we don't have the authority to do those things to people just because a mayor or a governor tells you otherwise. I don't care if it's your sergeant or your chief of police. We don't get to violate people's constitutional rights because somebody in our chain of command tells us otherwise. It's not how this country works.
I agree with them wholeheartedly. You don't have the authority, officers that are going around and enforcing these policies, breaking their oaths. You don't have the authority. This man is very, very wise. I respect him. I believe that more officers should think like him. But beyond that, I believe that more of us, more of just the general public, general people, should think like him. Because he's the type of man that's out there fighting for your freedoms. He's the type of man who's out there who's going to make sure that your children know what rights are when they grow up. And to that aim, we have the same ends. Let's listen to something else this man says, because he's a very wise man.
And this is what I'm seeing. First Amendment rights. Telling people they can't go to church. Freedom of religion. Okay? Telling people they can't protest. Freedom of assembly. Fourth Amendment violations. Illegal traffic stops to check for papers. What are you, the Gestapo? Is this 1930s Nazi Germany? You don't get to stop people unless you have reasonable suspicion or probable cause that they have committed a crime. And I know people that have personally been stopped saying, we want to see papers showing that you're essential.
David 2, copy a phone call.
That is not how our job works, okay? What really has been pissing me off lately is the fact that these officers that are going out here and enforcing these tyrannical orders, what they're doing is they're making my job and my safety, or they're putting my job and my safety at risk. Because what you're doing is you're widening the gap between public trust and law enforcement officers. And what that's going to do is it's going to, I mean, look at what's happened to law enforcement in the last 10 years. Less and less public trust, and more often than not, that is a result of isolated incidents that get blown out of proportion. They're not isolated anymore. They're happening every single day. And the thing that I want you guys to realize is that our power that we hold as law enforcement officers is nothing more than a facade. It's a badge and a gun. And people, you don't realize, if you haven't lived in anarchy, if you haven't seen combat, things can be stripped from people in a heartbeat. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that these actions are going to wake a sleeping giant, i.e. the American people, okay?
That was beautiful. Our power, our authority is nothing more than a facade. It's nothing more than a badge and a gun. That's all it is. I couldn't have said it more beautifully myself. That's why I respect that man so much. Because he sees what a lot of people are turning their head to. The fact that what Americans would have been appalled at the police department for doing 10 years ago is now common everyday occurrence. And if you think it's going to get better, just think about this. How much better has it gotten the past 20 years? The past 10 years? The past 5 years? Let's just go out on a limb here. How much better has it gotten the past 60 years? How much better has it gotten since the civil rights movement? Yeah, okay, we recognize people of color's rights a little bit more than we used to. I mean, every now and then when a cop shoots one of them, we hold them accountable in a trial for murder when it's pretty obvious what happened. Every now and then. You know what would have happened 150 years ago, 200 years ago? Had something like that happen? I'm just going to leave this little clip from Open Range to describe that to you. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Much love to all the warriors and all the veterans and everybody out there fighting for peace, freedom, rights, the ability to be free, the ability to do as we wish. Much love to all the veterans here on Memorial Day, or Veterans Day, Memorial Day. And just remember, if the news doesn't make you laugh, it'll make you cry. Hope to see you here next time.
I've got a warrant sworn out for your arrest for assaulting Baxter's men.
We got a warrant sworn for attempted murder for them that tried to kill the boy who's laying over there at the docks trying to stay alive. Swore out another one for them that murdered the big fellow you had in your cell. Only ours ain't writ by no tin star bought and paid for, Marshal. It's writ by us, and we aim to enforce it.
Hello guys, we want you to leave a like, subscribe, click that bell to never miss another video, and share the video because YouTube's algorithms want your only hope.
You're our only hope. You're his only hope.
Yeah.
Thank you.